welcome to the Student Government Forum hosted by the Blue Banner and SGA. We're going to get started by London giving a little cute speech and advice for the candidates. So, yeah.
Hey y'all, this isn't going to be like a super formal speech or anything. It's just going to be like a compilation of some reflections that I've made in the past few days, because I've like almost shit myself a few times thinking about the fact that like, oh my God, this year's gone by so fast. So things I've learned as student body president. Hierarchies suck and leadership is lonely and unsustainable. If you do not lean on the people around you, if you don't lean on your execs, if you don't lean on your friends, if you don't lean on like the other student body presidents, like you will not make it. This has been like the best and hardest year of my life for various reasons, you know, the pandemic, but also like being student body president when you didn't know there was going to be a pandemic in America when you joined. Has been really interesting. And I think a lot of the people here, it's like we've grown up with these leadership skills and have been praised for these leadership skills that we have. But leadership is a lonely place to be, and it's not only your responsibility. So when you're building your exec boards and like when you're building the people around you, like build a group of people who are also passionate about the things that you're passionate about and also help take on that responsibility. And I definitely have not done this perfectly at all, but just trying your best not to recreate the hierarchies that we want to break down, and not to have those hierarchies if you can. And my biggest hope for student government down the line is for us not to have student body presidents and for it to just be a group of students who care about this work. And it's going to be more complicated than that because we have like board of trustees and like all these other things. But yeah, I don't know, young people should not be breaking their bodies to do these jobs. On top of that, like as president, you are not going to be able to dismantle the white supremacy in higher education in a year. And there's going to be a lot of other things that are going to need to be dismantled on the way to getting to higher education. And so knowing that it's not all on your shoulders, because it's not all on your shoulders, and knowing that like you're literally not going to fix every single thing in a year is something that I found really comforting, because even though we got a lot of work done and I'm like so proud of all the work that all my execs did, like we are not revolutionizing higher education in the one school year, less than a year that you have as president. And so figuring out like what's important to you and like what things that you want to plant for later is really important. And everything you do, making sure that you have a plan for how this is going to be sustainable. UNCA, the way that someone described it to me was like they put a bunch of college students in a sandbox and we spend 4 years doing a bunch of work. And then as soon as we leave, they shake it up and all your work's gone. And there's a next generation of students who are like also passionate, just like you, who have to come in and start that from the beginning. And so making sure that everything you do, you have some kind of legacy or like someone that's like going to keep it going, and like some kind of system in place, and like it being housed in a department is like really important. People are going to tell you to like try and keep every relationship you possibly can. And obviously burning bridges should be done sparingly, but also not everyone deserves your time. And if you see a meeting and you have an inkling it's going to be a waste of your time, it probably is. And sometimes they are. And I don't know if any of y'all are like interested in doing higher education later in life. If you are, these meetings are very important. Very much listen to them. You know what I mean? But if you're not trying to go into higher education, sometimes you don't need to be there. Sometimes you can answer emails during that meeting instead. And be period, Isaiah. And like I would be sitting there like trying to figure out things for meetings that like literally had nothing to do with any of the work I was doing, or setting up meetings with people who are supposed to be powerful in the school because I thought that was what I was supposed to do. But then I never ended up collaborating with these people, and I like wasted a lot of time tone policing myself and like trying to keep and create relationships that I just like didn't need. And when students elect you, they don't, I think especially here, like they elect you because both they believe in like the work you're going to do and because they believe in you and because they want you, but they also want you to have well-being. And so like risking your well-being will not help you do the work. It's only going to make it harder. And that's not what students elected you to do. Like you weren't elected to burn out. So don't do that. And then my last and biggest thing is, which I don't think is going to be a problem for the people running here, but every meeting I'm in, I try to speak as if students are watching me. And like every student who voted for me is there. Obviously, we have to be strategic, you know, we have to word things a certain way sometimes. But if you're in a meeting and you're ever like, oh, I don't know if I want to burn this bridge, think about it, but also consider if there were a bunch of students in this room, what would be going through their head and what would they, you know, when you're watching a movie and you're like, oh my God, do this. Oh my God, say this. That's like what you're doing. And so try to think of like the things that students would have wanted you to say, because your integrity is the only thing that's going to keep you sane sometimes. And like knowing that you said all the things that you were supposed to say or that were needing to be said. And maybe that's just me. That's what kind of keeps me good, insane. But yeah, everyone's different. And y'all are gonna do great either way. And I'm really excited to see how next year goes and how this form goes. And thank y'all for electing me in the first place. And yeah, that's it. And also I will be here next year. So if y'all have questions, I'm like so happy to give advice.
Thank you, London, for that. You've killed it. I tell you all the time, but okay, so I did not introduce myself because I think I know everyone here, but my name is Camille. I'm the co-editor-in-chief of the Blue Banner, and you guys should go read it because we have an awesome issue out. It came out Thursday. Go check it out. Yeah, Olivia, I am totally plugging it right now. We will probably do a little feature story on whoever wins, so that'll be interesting. Keep your eyes out for that. I'm gonna let you guys know the structure, how this is gonna go. Each candidate will have an opening statement, then we'll go to 2 student-sourced questions. Then they will all be put in the hot seat. Well, when they're gonna be asked 10 yes or no questions, and they'll use their little reaction buttons to say yes or no. And then we will have 2 questions for the president and 1 question for the VP. And then the audience will be able to ask some questions and then closing statements. And every time you speak, you will only have a minute. So yeah. So you have to hurry up. No. But yeah, good luck to everyone. You guys are gonna do great. I know it. I'll let Aaliyah take it away.
Hi, I'm Aaliyah, and I'm our elections commissioner for this year. So each candidate is going to have 1 minute to answer a question, and we'll let you know when there are 30 seconds and 10 seconds left. And Kayla is going to do that. For the hot seat questions, they are 10 yes or no questions. You're going to use the reaction buttons on here. You can't discuss them, but you can go back and comment on them on your closing statements. Does anybody have any questions before we start?
Yeah, what are reaction buttons?
So on the bottom of your screen, it'll have like a little icon that says reactions, and you can use the check for yes and the X for no. Do you see that?
Okay. No, where would I see it?
On the like bottom part near like the end button.
I see leave, I see share, and I see chat.
Do you have like a more button? Does it have like 3 dots and more?
No, I don't see a 3 dots and more.
Do you have a piece of paper near you? You can just do a yes.
Yeah, I have some sticky notes.
Yeah, you can do that then if it's not working.
That sounds good for me.
Awesome.
He might be on it from like his like personal email. It might not have like an upgraded Zoom like ours or.
Okay. Well, yeah, just write it down and then show it to the camera when it's that time. Yeah. Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah, sounds good. Thank you.
Are there any other questions before we get started? If not, good luck to all of y'all. Y'all are gonna do great. Each candidate will have the chance to give an opening statement. Please include your name, major, pronouns, and what you're running for. Time will begin when you discuss your platform. Demon, you go first.
Demon Thomas, he, him, mass communication, sociology major, Africana minor, SGA president. Opening. As an active member of the Asheville community, it is important we remain as active as a collective. Throughout my leadership roles, I noticed the lack of communication we have in the student body. And with COVID, it makes human interaction a lot more difficult. I learned and experienced the importance of student engagement because study shows the more active you are on campus, the more fun your college experience will be, and you're more likely to stay in college. As an advocate for social justice, it is important I identify the social issues some of us encounter at UNCA. When I lead, I will unite people through peace and motivation and allow room for others to express their views rather than silencing them.
You still have time.
Okay, do I talk about my platform now? Okay, I guess I talked about a platform. So our goal is to unite the UNC Asheville community by listening and networking through student engagement. Most importantly, by POC importance and advocacy, we plan to advocate for the Health and Counseling Department to hire more BIPOC staff and counselors and have admissions hire more bilingual counselors. Our goal is to, I can keep going.
No, that's the end of the time.
Kayla, make sure that you give a 30-second reminder and a 10-second reminder.
Okay.
All right, Ron, you get to go now.
Stellar, thank you. My name is Ron Dumas. I'm an interdisciplinary major focused in ethics with a philosophy minor. I'm running for student body president because I have a bold new vision for UNCA. The UNCA body is an incredibly large group of progressive-minded individuals that have the capability and determination to create positive change in the community. My campaign and subsequent administration will focus on improving the student government response in 6 specific categories. That's the mental health crisis, student economics, student homelessness, drug relations, the students' response to
30 seconds.
Bringing into the pandemic, and mending the gap between the Student Government Association and the student body. As student body president, I'll also lead 2 service projects for the class of 2022, and anyone who wants to volunteer as an example for the impact that we can have in the community and promote similar projects in the future for future generations of students.
10 seconds.
Some specifics of my administration, an improved response to mental health. I have a lot of personal experience how mental health can be debilitating in academia. With student economics, I have been a student employee for 3 years off and on, and I know how difficult it is to survive as a functioning student and adult.
Arielle, you can now speak on yours.
Okay. My name is Aryelle Jacobson. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a junior interdisciplinary studies student focusing on sociology, economics, and health and wellness. I'm running with Demon Thomas, and our job at the core is about advocating for student voices to be heard and valued. I believe this starts with building relationships that have meaning and impact for our campus community. Your experience matters, and we want to hear what you all have to say. After working for the past 2 SGA administrations, I have a really solid understanding of the best way to empower senators to use the agency they have to do more listening, more learning, and stronger advocacy for students. I want to work to unite our campus so that students feel connected, supported, and heard by student government. I'm confident in my ability, as well as Demon's, to continually advocate and work as a collective towards social justice, unity, and peace at UNCA. Something that's really important to me as a vice president candidate is the way that the Senate will be run. Things that I really want to do range from making sure that committees are connected with other student orgs on campus, making sure that senators have a really good idea what legislation is, how to write legislation, so that they can go out and continue to make these connections.
So Kayla is going to put in the chat when you have 30 seconds and 10 seconds so that she doesn't interrupt you, so that because of the Zoom stuff, it's gonna like cut you off completely. So if y'all could have the chat pulled up, and she will say time when you guys are finished. So she'll give 30 seconds and 10-second reminders in the chat and then say time when you guys do not have to fill up the minute time slot, so that if you guys are finished talking, you don't have to continue on if you guys are finished with your point. Good with everybody? Okay. Now we will ask 2 student source questions. What do you think makes you qualified to tackle equity on our campus? Ron?
I have worked extensively with the Black Student Administrator Association for the last year now. And if elected president, I would work with Jasmine Washington, who currently leads the club, to bring together every affinity club on campus, including the student Catholics and every LGBTQ group, to make sure that every interest is represented when the school talks about inclusion. Furthermore, I was in a meeting with the head of marketing last semester to talk about how we could grow on inclusion. And I would use that relationship to build forward and make sure the university delivers on its promise of inclusion when bringing in new students. And I yield the rest of my time.
Demon?
So I would, after my experience here at UNC Asheville, my goal is to use my jobs, my networks to build equity. I feel like being in many leadership roles, I had the opportunity to connect with many people. Also, being on the Equity and Inclusion Committee of SGA has taught me the importance of collaborating and seeking out ideas from the community. And I like to yield my time.
Arielle?
I think for me, it's really important as like a white woman in this role that in some of the more like administrative places where whiteness might be able to connect more, like board of trustees or things like that, using that agency there to have conversations with the trustees, like, or with the white board of trustees members, like about race, because I think oftentimes that doesn't happen. And those are really important, significant conversations to have when asking for funding for things like something on Demonized platform is securing the space, a physical space for Black and Brown students on campus. So being able to use that, I think, would be really important to me. And also absolutely following the leadership of BIPOC students on campus and continuing work with ASO, the Anti-Racist Student Organization, to ensure that white students on campus are actively dismantling internalized systems of white supremacy within us.
SGA has had a high rate of turnover, with many senators and even some executives resigning as they realize they do not have the time to devote to their position at SGA. How would you work to improve the retention of SGA members? Arielle?
This is a great question. So I think the most important thing is making sure that our Senate feels connected to each other and that they have a really solid idea of what their job is as a senator, of what their role is. So again, what does it mean to write legislation? Why is it powerful to write legislation? What does it mean to be on the Health and Wellness Committee? Why is that a powerful thing? I think by having bi-weekly SGA meetings and then meeting on the off weeks as committees, they'll be able to build community within those committees, feel connected, feel excited about the initiatives they're working towards, and also just excited to be connected to each other. I think that's the most important part, is making sure that our senators are well resourced and excited to be serving as this role.
Demon?
This brings us back to our platform unity. My goal is to unite SGA with the Key Center. I feel like on SGA, we have a lot of similar ideas, such as the Key Center. So I feel like student engagement is very important with all students, reaching out to clubs that will also get more students involved, bringing back the campus outreach. I feel like the reason why it's important to bring back campus outreach, it will be suitable for those who's like seeking, let's say, mental health. That's those who feel like they feel as like they're not so involved because of COVID. So I feel like creating programs within partnerships where we have on campus, because we all have the same ideas, it will keep everyone involved. And I like to yield my time.
Ron?
I think the most important thing is to bring SGA back to the students. As a busy student myself, working within other organizations and taking on big projects, it took me 3 years to join SGA because the meetings are early in the morning or late at night, and it's just a very hard and intimidating thing to join. And so I think to improve the commitment senators feel to SGA is to bring them back to the students so they serve as public servants to the student body. I can't tell you how many students that I've met that want to get involved but are scared of SGA or think it's an intimidating or there's too much commitment involved. Really, I've heard so many great ideas come from so many students that think that they just can't do it. And so really we have to bring SGA back to the people that it represents. And I yield the rest of my time.
Next will be the section of hot take questions. You will use your reaction buttons to answer yes or no. And Ron, you'll use your sticky notes. The first question is, do you support the initiative to place menstrual products in all men's, women's, and gender neutral bathrooms on campus? Do you think it's realistic to completely divest from fossil fuels in the next 5 years? Do you think student involvement is an issue on campus? Do you think SGA is currently utilizing its funds in the most effective way? Is UNCA holding true to its pillar of sustainability on campus? Do you think Title IX is doing enough to protect students on campus? Do you think students feel protected by campus police? Do you think health and counseling needs improvement in regards to counseling, sexual health, and relationships? Do you think this campus is accessible for all students? Do you think this campus has taken all the necessary precautions concerning COVID? Now we will ask 2 questions for presidential candidates and 1 question for the vice presidential candidate. Presidents, there has been a recent decline in admissions and retention at UNCA. How will you make UNC Asheville more attractive to new students and retain the ones already here? Demon?
So this brings me back to my platform with strong communication. So professors informing students about events and clubs related to their department. Example, BSA and Umoja being promoted by Africana department, the sociology and political science department being promoted by promoting the social justice coffee hour, and like the environmental department encouraging like students to join Divest. I feel like it's very important that our professors get more students involved in their department, so we'll have more student engagement. Also, like I mentioned earlier, being more active on campus will make students will make students know that college is fun. And also, I believe us partnership with housing, having RAs work with SGA. I feel like most students are in the residence halls because of COVID. So I remember like transfers when I was like my second year, transferring was pretty huge. So I feel like if SGA connects with housing and all the other departments on campus, retention, that would not be an issue. I'd like to yield my time.
Ron?
So I think engagement is important in retaining students, but also I don't think more responsibility is the answer. A lot of students are simply overwhelmed with just being college students when they come to college. I know personally, I suffered a debilitating depression when I was a freshman and took all semester. Had it not been for Dr. Mitra, I may not still be here. And so I think the way we retain students and bring new students in is adding to our mental health platform. Like the student response today is to send people to the student health center on Lakeshore, I think. And when I went there, they could only see me once every 3 weeks, and that wasn't enough. I needed help. I needed some way to stay involved with classes and be a functioning adult. I needed mental health. And I think the way that we keep students is by helping them function as students first and then letting them grow on their own. And then I'd like to yield the rest of my time.
Presidents, COVID numbers have increased in comparison to fall 2020 total cases. What is your administration going to do to combat these numbers and take precautionary measures for the safety of our campus? Ron?
Some of my favorite people to talk to at tables are the student health ambassadors. And I think we can take that initiative a step further. How many of you guys use TikTok? Sorry, it's one more question. I think we can put in place a TikTok campaign working with the student health advisors, the athletics department, the marketing group, and create fun around COVID regulations. Because the challenge that we face today is COVID fatigue. People are tired of wearing masks, especially with double masking becoming to fruition now. It's tiring and it's hard and you don't want to social distance anymore, but we have to double down on why those regulations are important. But giving people more rules and coming off more strictly isn't the answer. We have to make it fun and interactive. And so I think we as students can create a campaign to make safety interactive. And I would like to yield the rest of my time.
Demon?
I believe that COVID has taught us the importance of like Zoom meetings. It's like what I mentioned earlier with having our departments connect. I feel like with COVID, even reaching out to the staff here, having like increasing more janitors to clean the buildings. And I feel like encouraging more BIPOC students to like get the vaccine. I feel like it is important that we not only practice social distance, but actually enforce the social distance rule more. And I would like to yield my time.
Aryelle, some people complain there's a divide between the executives and the senators on staff. How will you bridge that gap?
I think it's really important to make sure that whatever the senators are working on, like the execs are in tune with that. And also making sure that everyone knows that like we're here to keep each other in balance and we're not here to like do more work than the other or be above the other. And so I think by making sure like execs are aware of the work senators are doing and regularly attending senator committee meetings, I think that would be a good way for us to keep each other in the loop, to continue to work together, to stop reinventing the wheel and work harder, work smarter, not harder. So I think that's a way that we can sort of bridge that gap there. And once again, make sure that we're all doing good work and we're all connecting through that in a way that it's not 30 groups doing the same exact thing.
We will now accept questions from the audience. You may ask a question directly to a candidate or just in general.
I have a question. Okay, so I want to hear from each of you guys what your legacy or what legacy you would like to leave, because London mentioned that during her little intro, and I would like to know that if you had the chance, what legacy you would like to leave.
May I go first?
Ron, you can go ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I take a lot of bold stances in my platform if you've gotten a chance to read it or seen the information that I've been posting. The legacy that I want to leave are steps in the right direction. I want to work toward a minimum wage for student employees so that we could be functioning students and or excellent students and functioning adults. I want to expand mental health. I want to have a real and honest approach to drug relations. I want students to know when they come to UNCA, they'll be treated like humans and students. They won't have to be put between a rock and a hard place that causes so many people to drop out and not complete the task. I think we have to humanize what we do, and that's the legacy that I want to leave at UNCA.
Demon, would you like to speak on it?
Yes. So the legacy I would like to leave is basically the Black man can. Like this org I created, Umoja. It's like my representation is very important. I feel like as a Black man on this campus, we need to do more. I feel like me leaving behind my group that I started with just 4 of us is like allowing people, well, we're going to have more people, but it's allowing people to like be themselves. I created a space for like my, like, I don't say my own, but like my people, like my brothers. I created a space for us. So I know once I leave, hopefully that club keeps going. As far as community, like trying to partner with Democracy NC every year to register UNCA and Asheville community members to vote and ensure voter protection is prioritized in our community. So, and also I plan on doing like days where like partnership with the athletics, showing school pride. So what I mean by that is showing pride for our athletes program by dressing in like UNCA gear or school colors on the 19th and 27th of every month to support our student athletes in the COVID safe ways, because due to lack of games they had, and also like partnering with Greek Life and making sure like Wednesdays we wear suits, which also promotes the career center. I just feel like it's very important to like have certain days in the months or like events that's surrounded by school pride. I feel like school pride is kind of what we're missing, and just like creating these ideas and having these events surrounded yearly will keep my legacy going. Yeah.
Aryelle?
I think one of the biggest critiques when it comes to student government is exactly what London was speaking on earlier. The fact that all these administrations come in and work really hard towards their goals, and then the next administration comes in and sometimes that completely changes and that work is gone. So I think something really important to me is to, and Demon, is to build upon the work that London's administration set and Isaiah's administration set too. I think by that, like the transfer of power not only goes better, but we're able to like keep working towards keeping our institutional accountable, keep working towards all these initiatives and things that like are very ambitious, but that we want to continue to fight for and to work for. And so I think if we set that tone, maybe a next administration will come in beyond Demon and I and continue to do that. And I think that can be done through annual events. I was talking to Kayla Maddie last night, and she had a great idea to have a survey that we send out to like UNCA students every year, a survey that asks like how, like, do you feel connected to campus? Do you feel like you have a community here? If not, how can we help that? That way we can, sort of analyze that data, and SGA can use that data to see how do we need to support students? How do we need to advocate for students? And so I think that would be a great legacy to leave behind, is like creating a really solid survey as research that we can use to continue that for our administration and beyond. I think another legacy I'd like to leave is having an annual day where we have local high school students come to campus and we partner with SGA. They go sit down and see a lecture they're interested in. They maybe come to an SGA meeting, maybe an exec they have, like if there's an executive position they're interested in, they can like talk to you. I think that is so important. And I would love to see that happen as like an annual field trip day in a world where we don't really have COVID, although we'll see what that looks like. But I think continuing the work of the past administration, especially an administration like London's, is extremely important.
Can I add something? I would also like to add, I want to shine light on my VP. She started like her and her co-leaders started ASO, and like they're like the most, they have the most students involved. And I feel like that alone right there, our clubs, Umoja and ASO, we leaving behind a legacy. We're allowing first years, transfers, upperclassmen to join these clubs that we just started. And imagine if these clubs were here before we got here, who knows like where we'll be. So I feel like just our clubs that we created these past like semester, we're leaving us a legacy, and we allowing people to, we educating, we created spaces. I just feel like that's a legacy alone right there. Thank you. I'm yielding my time.
May I also add something?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Great. Another thing that I wanted to add to the legacy, if you've gotten a chance to read the platform, I mentioned it in my opening statement, I want to lead 2 service projects, one in the fall and one into the spring, to inspire students to work philanthropically to solve big structural problems. I want to have a coat drive leading up to the end of the fall semester and get everyone who wants to volunteer, every single student that wants to donate a coat or sit at the fire station so they're distributed throughout the Asheville community, and leave a legacy of actual impact in actual communities that can be done, so that when they leave, and become their own functioning adults in their own communities, they'll know that it can be done and it's not that hard. It doesn't take a whirlwind of work. It doesn't take an entire team of people. It takes a couple people with an idea and the drive to get it done to really make an impact in the community. And if 2 people know that by the end of this, then we've done a great job.
Damon and Ron, what do you think you'll need to work on as president? And Arielle, what do you think you'll need to work on as vice president? And how do you guys envision your executive board?
I guess I'll go first.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I feel like what I need to work on personally, I had mentioned to everybody like the way I speak and articulate. I feel as president, that's just my insecurities. I feel like I don't get my ideas out very, I guess, professionally. And I feel like that's a quality I lack. But I have some sort of professionalism, but the way I speak is very important. I also, can you repeat the second question, I think, part of the.
How do you envision your executive board?
So I envision my exec board, plan on bringing campus outreach and community outreach. So unity, I really envision my board as very, how you say it, just united, like even leaving a suggestion box outside the SGA office. I feel like even having like students just, I guess, give their opinions on what we could do better.
As SGA president, I think the first thing that we need to work on is bringing SGA back to people. I think we need to do more in-person tabling and just have students be able to come up and say their 2 cents or ask what SGA does or ask if there's anything they can get involved in. The more students we have involved in SGA, the better our projects will be and the more impact we can have. When talking about my executive board, I want to have students who have a vision for the executive position that they want. I think visions and work and taking bold ideas and putting them into place is perfect right now because academia is where those things start. A lot of the big structural changes will be testing on the academic level. Can we eliminate student homelessness? I think we absolutely can, but we need students who have a vision on how to get it done. Can we deliver coats to all of Asheville? I think we absolutely can, but students who have a passion and a drive to get it done are essential to that. So we need to get back to the students.
Arielle.
I think it's really important. I want to emphasize again, the role of listening is leadership. So I think going out and talking to students, going to different student organizations and listening to the things that they have to say, the things that they want to see change. Every student, everyone here tonight, like you have a front line, you have a passion point. There's probably student orgs beyond, SGA or Blue Banner that you're involved with, or even those, like you have great thoughts and ideas. And so I think it's important to listen to those things. I know that I will only bring one perspective, but there's a whole Senate around me that represents our whole student body. That's a lot more perspectives in hand to consider. So listening is absolutely essential. I think things that I want to do as vice president are have trainings for our senators, like a legislation workshop, but also beyond that, like a workshop with Asheville Poverty Initiative, a workshop with the SAGE training that they do in the OMA office. I think it's essential that our senators have these tools and understandings if they're going to be student leaders.
What do you all plan on doing for mental health specifically? What is it that you could do that hasn't already been done? Damon, do you want to start?
So I also work for the Key Center, so I just want to add that in there. So the importance about the Key Center, 2 of my co-workers, they started a program called HEAL. So my goal is to collaborate with HEAL UNCA to host town hall meetings that London has already put in place to connect students, network, and voice anything they want to see. Continue to work like Aria mentioned, previous administration, create more events around BIPOC health methods of self-care, which such as like yoga, coloring, meditation. Also partnering with partnership is really huge in my platform. So working with athletics on their health, hiring more health and counseling, people of color from health and counseling would be very beneficial because we only have one person of color. So I feel like that's how I'll improve mental health within my platform.
in my platform, I write about mental health extensively. It's very personal to me because I have a lot of experience in this realm. First, I would create a task force, just like Aryelle mentioned, amongst other clubs that have a dog in this race, so that we can work together, create a comprehensive student response before it gets to the health and wellness office, because the health and wellness office really needs help. It can't handle the volume of students that really need help and are falling apart without it. This task force would include members of the philosophy club, the mindfulness club, and representatives from the psychology department. And we would focus primarily on educating on communication methods, identifying symptoms, stress management, and healthy coping mechanisms for all the things that we deal with. And I think the availability of information like that to students facing these things will be enough to help them at least hold on before the student health center can get to them. And I yield the rest of my time.
Aryelle.
So another idea that the wonderful Kayla Maddie had is, and I think this is so important, something I want to see through, is making sure that like the Health and Counseling Center is a great resource, but it can be very clinical. There's a lot of paperwork that you have to do. It can get very extensive. You know, not Jay Kutzbeck sometimes has said to me before that like not everybody needs the type of therapy the Health and Wellness Counseling Center offers. So I think an important thing, especially for our first year students that maybe like don't have a friend, like a network or a community on campus yet, is making sure that we have spaces where we can talk about mental health. Like Demon said, we want to do everything we can to support HEAL because we truly believe in that initiative in student org. I also think it's important to just have circles, maybe like for first year students or students that are craving that community or looking for that community, for them to talk openly about the things that you know, maybe they want to be supported with, or like things that they're dealing with, and they just want to connect with other students and like have empathy for each other. So I think if we had like a healing circle with students interested in that, that would be really significant and important. And I think also working closely with the Health and Counseling Center to ensure that, sorry, I went over my time.
What are your thoughts on the racial justice roadmap?
I will start this one since Demons had to start all the other ones. To me, I think the process of inclusion and diversity is never complete. There's always more work to be done. And I think it's really important to continue President London's work. Also, I do think that we should expand the scope a little bit. I think we should bring together all affinity groups to make sure we're doing all we can on all fronts, not just on one particular front. The Racial Justice Initiative is great, but I think it can use the voice of other students who aren't quite yet included. And I yield the rest of my time.
Honestly, I don't even see the racial justice map happening. More so, I want to add to it, or I guess push it up a bit. So I feel like idea that should be part of the racial justice map is including BIPOC food trucks. Like I mentioned earlier, working for the Key Center has taught me, and I learned that this racial justice roadmap, when has it started, and why have nothing been done? Why is it hard for us to have food trucks on campus? And we all know food connects to culture. I feel like being president is my goal to, I guess, add to this roadmap, but clearly I need to get things done the way I see it, because being in my org, being in these positions that I'm in, has taught me that there's no such thing as a racial justice map. And I'll be at my time.
Aryelle.
Yeah, I agree with Demon. I think it's really important that when we're in this position to make sure that we're holding our institution accountable to the things they say they're going to do, and also add more to that as well. Again, part of our job is listening to the student body, listening to what the students want to see happen. And a big part of that is holding UNCA accountable. I think that if a sad thing that I think could happen if there was another administration coming in is that the racial justice roadmap maybe would just go away or disappear. And I want to make sure with Demon that doesn't happen, but first things are getting done. I think, again, just being a white woman in this position, something really important to me is making sure that white students are continually educating themselves and dismantling these systems that live in us. I think it's so significant, and it is something that we have to do in order to really make our campus culture feel united. So I think for me, having unlearning circles where we're able to connect through resources and talk about how we're going to dismantle this within ourselves is really significant. Oh, sorry, Kayla, I'll do a better job.
Thank you. You're good, Aryelle. What stood out to you about previous leaders, and what from their time on SGA would you like to carry over into your position?
If I have a question, do we answer the question in the chat, or you want to just?
I'm gonna say the questions, and then all three of you can answer. Yes.
Honestly, I would like to do. I know that's like it's COVID and stuff, but the continuing the work of the previous administration as far as like prioritizing the creation of a physical space for Black and Brown students on campus. I feel like that's something I would definitely want to continue. Also doing more work around the Black Lives Matter mural. I had a club meeting earlier this week, and it's for Umoja, and we don't actually admire the Black Lives Matter mural, like we walk past it. So doing more events around the mural, like I feel like it's important that we also acknowledge, because we don't pretty know, like London has done a lot, but we don't know. So actually like recording and going back, updating SGA and updating the student body on what we have done, I felt that's very important. And I like to yield my time.
Actually, the way that I met Demon was in a conversation with former President Michael Davis, who let me on some of Demon's, that Demon was running and just who he was. Something that we've talked extensively about is long form programming or work to programming. One of the pillars of my platform is creating a living wage for students. And when you hear that, it's incredible, but it's not something that can get done in a fiscal year. It's something that will take multiple years and multiple steps. And that's something that Michael has really informed me on. And I would put in place the roadmap to getting something like that done. Maybe not this year or next year, but in 3 years, the president of SGA will be able to sign a bill that puts money into a budget that gets students living wages so that they can be functioning students and functioning adults. And I yield the rest of my time.
I think for me, when I was working with Isaiah's administration, I think Isaiah did an incredible job of making sure to delegate and not micromanaging positions, but being like, hey, okay, you're doing your work. Good, cool. Let's like have a short 5-minute meeting about this. I think that is so important to just like understand what your role is. Like my role in particular is like overseeing the Senate. So understanding that is my role. And like, sure, there are other things I absolutely will be involved with, but making sure that I'm not like trying to do everything 100% of the time, because I have to take care of myself first. That's how I'm going to be the best vice president for the student body. So that's something from Isaiah I would take. Something from London I would take is just the accessibility that I think you've brought to the student government. Like, I love how you take all these Instagram videos where you're like, hey, here's an update. Do you want to be involved with this? I just think it's like really straightforward, and I so appreciate that. And so those are things I both want to take from those administrations, and I've both really have loved working for both of you.
What is your plan to make campus more accessible for disabled students?
There is a club based in the Philosophy Building in Whiteside that focuses specifically on disabled persons' issues at UNCA, but it's a very small club and it's not very well funded. So as student body president, I would elevate that club to the executive level and have real conversations about making sure everything is accessible for everyone on campus. For example, there was no student involvement when Argo was taken away. And Argo is the only handicapped accessible restaurant on campus. Everywhere else has steps required, unless you go into Highsmith. We need to talk about these things before they happen. And so all of these students are now displaced with nowhere to eat unless they walk across campus. If you come to Whitesides because it's accessible and then you can't go anywhere else because there are no restaurants unless you go across campus, then you have nowhere to eat. These people have nowhere to eat, and we need to listen to them by investing in their projects and helping them get things done. I yield the rest of my time.
Aryelle.
Yeah, so I actually met with that student org this week, and some of the things that they were talking about with me is the importance of like having SGA advocating for them. So honestly, Ron, I'm really glad that you're going to do that, because they've expressed to me that oftentimes they don't get heard in SGA, and that's really disappointing. And so I think some of the things that they talked about, and I think this is all about listening. It's, again, just to emphasize it again, as an able-bodied student on this campus, I am not going to know the answers, but working in collaboration and truly listening to disabled students, I think, is absolutely important. And so I think some of the things we want to see through is making sure that there are more wheelchairs for rent on campus. My understanding is that we only have one right now, and it does not even fit through the doors to get places. So having more wheelchairs to rent on campus, also making sure that there are t-shirt sizes that are accessible for all people. They were telling me that the t-shirt sizes for like things like Rocky Palooza and Homecoming oftentimes like don't fit everybody. And so that's not acceptable because we have student fees. Oh, I'm sorry, Kayla.
To piggyback off my VP with the wheelchair, I feel like that's the first step right there. Having more wheelchairs, figuring out like how to measure them, also attending more of their club meetings is very important. That once whoever's elected, we continue to meet with these clubs to ask in on more of their ideas. I don't know much about their club, but I would like to know more, because I do represent the whole student body. And that's, I like to yield my time.
Do you think there is a way to engage more with the Asheville community as a whole, not just the university? Arielle, would you like to start?
Yes. Oh my gosh, guys. So I'm actually born and raised in Asheville. And so I have a lot of connections here, and I love this community. And I think there's a lot of room for improvement for university and community relations. I actually served as the community outreach executive for Isaiah's administration. And like Damon said, we both work for the Key Center, which is a perfect way to work with community of Asheville. Things that we want to do are partner with Asheville for Justice to hold food distributions every year, make that an annual event that we do through SGA. Also partnering with Beloved to have clothes drives for winter gear and things like that for people experiencing homelessness. I think also working with K-12 students and having that annual day where we have local high schoolers, maybe local middle schoolers come onto campus and just see like, just connect more, and just to offer UNC Asheville as a space for more community members to utilize.
Just to add, working like Aryelle mentioned, working at the Key Center and being like the Africana intern, I have just connected with United Ways. So my goal for this semester and next semester is have like a back to school drive where semesterly we collect book bags, and at the beginning of August, we give them out, and then starting January, we give them out, and then connecting with Africana department, as far as with my daddy taught me that the resources that I have to outside of Asheville community, because my supervisors and the people I know would definitely bridge this gap of UNC and the Asheville community. And I like to yield my time.
To respond to the question, I would say absolutely. I have experience working for the city manager just after high school. And just this morning, I was in a meeting with the county commissioner of Brevard County. They are eager to work with students and organizations that want to get things done in the community. If you go back to what I was talking about at the beginning of the meeting, leading two student project initiatives, the coat drive is something that would be easily supported by the mayor of Asheville, and we could work through the fire departments in every district, so that we can give directly to people experiencing homelessness who need. I think Aryelle mentioned a kitchen, and I think that's a great idea. That's the spring project. We can raise money and then cater through Cartwells, who already caters for the university, so there's no groundwork to be done there, and distribute it immediately to the communities that need it through things that are already accessible to us. We really don't have to reinvent the wheel when doing these things. We just have to apply our resources in the right way.
London emphasized the need to lean on others to prevent burnout. She placed a lot of trust in her executives for the work that was done this year. For the presidential candidates, how will you prevent burnout if elected?
Can I start this one? I would like to quote President Joe Biden and say, a good leader can surround himself with people smarter than him. every executive that I will ask to join my board is smarter than me and in the specific position. I approached Jasmine Washington about working with me with inclusion, equity, and multicultural affairs because she's been working on this for 3 years. She knows the ins and outs of everything that needs to get done, and I will follow her into these things. And leaders should be able to listen and delegate. And I yield the rest of my time.
Demon?
Can you repeat the question again? I'm sorry.
Yes. London emphasized the need to lean on others to prevent burnout. She placed a lot of trust in her executives for the work that was done this year. For the presidential candidates, how will you prevent burnout if elected?
To bring back the key center and me being RA. So working with my co-RAs and like having teammates, me working for the key center and SGA, not only will I have a whole SGA exec board behind me, but I also have my co-workers from the key center. So I feel like me using my position, my roles, my leadership roles here at UNCA, asking for help, it would not be a problem. Working together would not be an issue. Communicating ideas would definitely like support the cause. I think that's what I like to add. I like to yield my time.
Does anyone else have questions from the audience? Okay, each candidate will now have the opportunity to give a closing statement. You will each have 1 minute. Arielle, you'll start.
Okay. A vote for Demon and I is not only a vote toward our platform, but yours too. A central element to our campaign is that listening is leadership. It's our job not just to listen, but to truly take time to hear what thoughts and ideas you have. Every single person here tonight has important experiences, thoughts, and passions that are absolutely essential to our campus. With your support, we can make sure we build community together while holding our institution accountable, creating initiatives and campus cultures that empower students, and do more listening with each other. Connection is everything, and a vote towards Demon and I is a vote towards peace, advocacy towards social justice, and greater unity.
Ron?
The hurdles that we face are steep, but together with diverse ideas, patience, virtue, and conscientious communication, we possess everything we need to overcome any and all adversity. As students, we need to take bold responses to the thing that makes being a student difficult. We all face difficult lives and we face difficult situations living those lives. We as students have to unite in the face of these issues and present the right steps to go forward. Voting for me would allow bold issues to take the forefront. And I ask anyone who wants to join to step in line and join me. Thank you.
Demon?
Closing. As your SGA president, my goal is to use my position over power. With the resources I accumulated and networking opportunities I encountered, social justice, unity, and peace will be the blueprint for UNCA. I know I have only been in SGA for almost 2 semesters, and I still have questions to come. Throughout my college experience, I've been in many leadership roles such as a Jumpstart mentor, Africana Studies intern, Order of Pisgah, MC for Donning of Stoles, Sankofa RA, plus more. I also worked closely with the Shiloh community and participated in MLK Day, Cleanup Day with Asheville Greenworks. Because I do not have a lot of SGA experience, does not make me less than qualified to do my job. I believe in growth, and with your all help, we can grow together. That's the beauty of this election. We do not need a president who knows everything about SGA. We need a president who knows what our student body is missing. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Sorry. Okay, the beauty of this election, we need a president who knows everything about SGA. We need a president who knows what our student body is missing. From working in housing to being an ambassador and starting my own club for Black men, communication, connection, and school pride is what I would bring to the table. The passion I have for our community is unbelievable. We are the best school in the UNC system. No one fights for equity like we do. And not to mention, what school has a Black Lives Matter mural? It's time we acknowledge our self-worth and capabilities and bridge this gap between UNCA and the Asheville community because our people are hurting. Demon Thomas, he, him, mass communication, sociology major, Africana minor, SGA president.
I want to say thank you to all 3 of you for being here and sharing your platforms. You guys all did a great job. Thank you everybody for coming. I just want to give a reminder that voting opens February 25th at 12:01 a.m. and it will close February 26th at 11:59 p.m. Good luck to everybody, and thank you guys all for coming.
Don't forget to vote, everybody.
Also, can I add something? Can I add something, you all? So today, well, this whole week has been very, very busy for me. So I'm currently running for SGA president and homecoming royalty. So in the chat, I posted the link for homecoming. Vote me for homecoming royalty. I also have candy. 2 votes equals 2 prizes, you guys. Vote me. There's also amazing candidates like Dee Dee, Kamal Sharp, Kishana. Get your votes in. 3 votes equals homecoming royalty. Go Bulldogs.
Can I ask a question about the voting? So you said it opens at 12:01 a.m. Does that mean it opens tonight and goes until Friday night?
Yes, it'll open when it turns Thursday. So tonight at 12:01 a.m. voting will open, and then it will close Friday at 11:59.
And where will you post the link so that we can share it?
The link will be in the SGA bio, and then I will also post flyers and stuff on the Instagram. So you guys can repost it, share that, so you guys can get people to vote.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Also, I'd like to add, also, can I give a shout out to the Blue Banner? Because, you know, my mass comm people, we in the building. So I want to get a shout out to my department. Blue Banner, we got this. Support your favorite student journalists.
One more thing. Aaliyah, do you want the candidates to maybe stay behind for a few minutes if anyone has any other questions?
Yeah, for sure. And I'll stick around too. So if anybody has questions regarding like elections or anything. But thank you guys all for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all. Aaliyah.